Okay, so thank you, Karen, and hello to everyone. It's really nice to me to see all those familiar faces. We are, as you noticed, maybe still in a pandemic. And as some of you may know, I work a lot with grief, severe grief and loss, and we are going still through a lot. And I thought about an activity for today that I use to help clients to deal with those topics. One main thing I think we struggle with in loss and grief is that we become used to things really fast, especially good things. We are wired to do so. For example, we fall in love and it's extraordinary, and then it become ordinary, and then it become habituary. So when we say, at least in Italy, we say, you know what you have when you lose it. Somehow the brain is wired like this. Children are more capable to see the nuances of things and to, not complain. Also, my daughter wear the mask about 8 hours a day, and she doesn't complain about it. She even find good aspects about it, but I complain all day for my FFP2, for example. So this activity that I want to do with you today is about this. Usually when I explain this kind of reasoning, I use an old story that I want to share with you just for a moment before the activity, which is from the ancient Chinese book, Huainanzi. And it's about a Chinese farmer. It's a brief version. It says, an old man lost his horse. His friends consoled him. The old man said, who can say if it's luck or not? Forgive me for the translation. I don't know if it's okay. They thought he was weird. A few months after, his horse came back with others, and his friends congratulated him. That's luck. He said, lucky, unlucky, who can say? They thought he was a bit crazy. He thrived thanks to the horses. One day, his only son fell off a horse and broke his leg. His friends consoled him. What a disgrace. The old man said, who can say if it's luck or not? About a year after, Japan declared war to China. They came and took any young male in the village, except for his limping son. All of them died in war. The old man say, lucky, unlucky, who can say? So the activity works like this. I work with a client, for example, or with a group, and we start a story or talking about memory or talking about what's happening right now. And we start usually with unfortunately. So unfortunately, it's happening that, for example. And then the client answer, luckily, it's happening this and that. And I answer, unfortunately, and so on. Usually, I use this technique, this experience in several ways. It could be about something happening by now, about memory, or about a story. We invent a story. And of course, you can use it also in groups, and we are gonna do it right now. So the activity sounds like this. I will start and I will say a sentence starting with unfortunately. And then who wants to join can join in and say, luckily, something else. And then another one can join and say, unfortunately, and so on, until we end the story. Okay?
Sounds great.
Let's try. So my first sentence is quite obvious, but I will do it anyway. So it's 2022. Unfortunately, it's 2022, and we are still into a pandemic.
Luckily, we have vaccines now that can help us and make things not so severe.
Unfortunately,
I beg your pardon.
unfortunately, there are a lot of people who don't believe in vaccines and make it more dangerous for all of us.
Lorraine, do you want to do a fortunately?
Fortunately, they're in the minority. No, I'm no, sorry. Luckily, they're in the minority.
Sorry, luckily, sorry.
Unfortunately, even with all the vaccines in the world of the best kind, I got the COVID.
Lucky for you, you don't need your third vaccine now.
Unfortunately, they're closing schools and our kids aren't getting the educations and social support that they need.
Fortunately, Elon Musk is designing new schools on Mars.
Okay, maybe one more.
Unfortunately, the atmosphere on Mars is very difficult for humans.
Okay, no, sorry, I changed my mind. I want one more.
Fortunately, humans are forever creative and adaptive.
Okay, I like this ending. Thank you. I will, if we have 2 more minutes, Karen, we can try another way. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Sure.
So another way is just to create a story. So unfortunately, an old once upon a time, unfortunately, an old lion became ill. But luckily,
Life has
Luckily, the other animals gathered around to protect him.
but unfortunately,
unfortunately, the illness that he had was contagious, and the other animals became ill the same as he was.
Fortunately, he shared all of his wisdom with the young.
Unfortunately, they all went on round the playground and forgot all the wisdom.
Fortunately, oh, I'm sorry to take another turn, but fortunately, there was one little child in the corner of the school who could remember the wisdom.
Unfortunately, that one little child was a mute and could not speak.
But fortunately, that child's beautiful energy was able to heal everybody in the town.
Aww.
okay, is it okay if we end with this?
Yeah, Florence, did you have one?
Oh, yeah, sure.
To continue with that, I thought Tammy ended it very well. So
I think so.
I feel like
too.
I'll spoil it if I say unfortunately.
Yeah,
that's okay.
Well, right. It's such a great ending, and yet this is such a great exercise, Giando, because this is what we have. fortunately, we have vaccines. Unfortunately, we have a variant that is contagious even with the vaccines. Fortunately, with the boosters, maybe it's a little bit less virulent. Unfortunately, not for everyone. It's so perfect for that.
I don't know if you guys are aware, but there are children's books that the unfortunately children's books, and it goes back and forth like that. And when my kids were in school, the teacher would read the story, the actual book, and then the kids would write their own unfortunately story.
Oh, great. Well, if anyone has a link for that, I'm sure that all of us would love to get it. Thank you. And then Giando, oh, sorry, go ahead, Tammy.
Well, I was just going to add, as well as the unfortunately books, I feel like I live my whole life, unfortunately, all the time. But another wonderful one to do on telehealth with stories is we do an angel devil story. So of how we're doing the angel, right, is a fortunately, and the back and forth that with the family members, which is a really fun way too. That's a little bit similar to that piece of the angel devil, which is fun. So I love the one that was just done today. So thank you.
Great. Okay.
I'm thinking how this fits with ideas of polarities, of opposites in Gestalt so well. Life is never just one thing. There's often the reverse as well.
That's right. That's
I
right.
have tried this, but like in my family, I always, and in my family, I never. In this situation.
Great.
Can I ask Giando a question?
Sure.
Even though it's not pandemic related, because you work a lot with loss. When you're working with, say, a child who has lost a parent, I mean, where there is grief and loss on that level, do you feel comfortable moving into that kind of fortunately, unfortunately piece? Or how do you use it, just briefly maybe, with severe loss with a child?
Well, the answer is no, or not at the beginning at least.
Right.
Because sometimes I strongly try to avoid is saying something like to console. Because saying, for example, well, think about the positive things, or think that your mom is alive.
Right.
Usually, it doesn't help, and so it doesn't work. It could be a good thing when I do more things not at the beginning of the therapy. For example, the timeline or things that helps the kid to have a kind of wide vision about what's going on in his or her life. And then we can play with it, but absolutely not at the beginning, because it has the opposite effect.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, I'll say, unfortunately, Giando, we're in a pandemic, and we haven't been able to make my trips to Italy, but fortunately we can meet through Zoom and still benefit from all your creativity. And after we spoke earlier, I was thinking about getting to do these trainings where talk about bloopers, everything that could go wrong, and Venice trying to get all this play therapy materials, and there's no cars there, and getting to Bologna before you did, and you give me like, turn left at the train station. I'm like, well, which way is left? Which exit, getting lost. But I will
then get married the day after.
That's right. By the way, I'm getting married, so I won't be there for the training, but I will never complain about any of it. Honestly, it's just, so anyway, thank you for that. I think that was just great. And I'm going to be using it this week.
Thank you.